the whispering forest. The journey begins. The air was soft and cool, carrying the gentle scent of pine and wild flowers. The faint golden light filtered through the towering trees, casting long, dappled shadows on the forest floor. Somewhere in the distance, a brook murmured, its voice blending with the rustling leaves and the occasional call of a night bird. Elara walked slowly along the moss-covered path, her steps light and unhurried. She had come to the whispering forest seeking peace, a place where the world's worries would dissolve into the stillness of ancient trees and the comforting hum of the earth beneath her feet. It was said that the forest held secret softly spoken words that only those who listened with their hearts could hear. A gentle breeze played with the loose strands of her auburn hair, carrying with it a whisper faint, like the sigh of a dream. She paused, tilting her head slightly. The forest seemed alive, watching, waiting. She had always felt drawn to places like this, places where time moved slower, where the world felt kinder. She followed the path deeper into the woods, where the trees arched their branches overhead, forming a natural cathedral of green. Tiny specks of light fireflies, or perhaps something more evidenced in the shadows, flickering like distant stars. The hush of the forest wrapped around her like a lullaby, like the promise of something just beyond the edge of understanding. She reached a small clearing where a stone bench sat beside an ancient oak, its roots sprawling like the veins of the earth. Sitting down, she closed her eyes and listened. The wind sighed through the leaves, and in that moment she heard it a voice, soft as mist, whispering her name. Elara. Her breath caught in her throat. It was not frightening, not in the way one might fear the unknown. Instead, it felt familiar, like a forgotten memory waking from its slumber. She opened her eyes, scanning the trees. Nothing but the quiet glow of the fireflies and the patient watchfulness of the forest. Softly, whatever had called her, whatever ancient murmur lingered in the air, she was exactly where she needed to be. Elara's fingers brushed over the rough stone of the bench as she rose, drawn forward by the sound of flowing water. The brook she had heard earlier now beckoned her, its voice a lilting melody weaving through the stillness of the night. She stepped lightly over the roots and fallen leaves, following the sound as it led her deeper into the heart of the forest. The trees parted gently, revealing a small stream that glowed under the silver moonlight. The water moved slowly, curling around smooth stones, whispering secrets that only the patient could understand. Elara knelt by the edge, trailing her fingertips through the cool water. The sensation sent a shiver up her spine, not from cold, but from something deeper, a connection, an understanding that the water was alive in its own way, carrying stories from one shore to another. As she watched, a single silver fish surfaced, its scales catching the moon's glow before disappearing into the depths. A ripple spread outward, carrying with it a melody so soft, so delicate, that she almost mistook it for the wind. But it was not the wind. A song drifted through the air, low and sweet, blending with the murmuring water. It was a lullaby of the forest, a melody that seemed to rise from the earth itself, surrounding her in a cocoon of warmth and quiet wonder. She closed her eyes, allowing the song to fill her senses, to carry her away on the tide of dreams. A soft, flickering light brought Elara back to wakefulness. She blinked, her breath steady as she looked around. The brook still murmured its song, but now the air carried a golden glow, small floating lanterns drifting through the trees like tiny stars. Elara rose to her feet, mesmerized by the gentle dance of light. The lanterns moved with an unseen current, guiding her toward a narrow path hidden behind the veil of branches. She hesitated for only a moment before stepping forward, drawn deeper into the whispering heart of the forest. The path opened into a glade where the lanterns gathered above a still pond. The water reflected their light, shimmering like a sky full of stars resting upon the earth. The figure gestured toward a moss-covered stone at the water's edge, inviting Elara to sit. She obliged, feeling the cool surface beneath her fingertips as she watched the lanterns drift lazily across the pond's glassy surface. Every traveler who steps into this forest carries a story within them, the keeper began, their voice a soothing melody in the still night. Some seek answers, others seek peace, and some, like you, are drawn here by whispers of something forgotten. Elara listened, the rustling leaves and soft lapping of water forming a backdrop to the keeper's words. "And what am I meant to remember?" she asked softly. The keeper smiled, their gaze warm and knowing. "Only what your heart is ready to hear." A hush fell over the glade as the willow's leaves trembled, scattering silver droplets into the pond below. The ripple spread outward, revealing a reflection in the water, a vision of a young girl walking a forest path, her laughter blending with the wind. Ilara's breath hitched. The girl was her, but from long ago. She watched as the reflection shimmered, showing her younger self chasing fireflies, whispering secrets to the trees, and sitting beneath the ancient oak where she had first heard her name spoken by the wind. "This place has always known you, Ilara," the keeper said gently, "and you have always known it." A deep sense of peace settled over her, as though she had just remembered a dream she had once cherished but forgotten upon waking. She smiled, looking up at the keeper with quiet gratitude. "Then tell me a story," she whispered. "One that will guide me home." The keeper's voice wove through the night, carrying Ilara to a time long past, where the forest was young and the whispers were strong. As the tale unfolded, she felt herself sinking deeper into the rhythm of the words, as though the story itself was part of the forest's breath. The air shimmered around her, and suddenly she was no longer in the glee. Instead, she stood at the edge of a vast meadow, bathed in golden light. A river ran through it, its surface glistening like silver, reflecting the sky above. Figures moved in the distance, their laughter carried on the breeze. They were memories, echoes of the past, lingering like footprints on the water. Among them, she saw a familiar figure, young girl, running barefoot through the grass, her hair catching the sunlight. It was her. The vision shifted, and she saw the same girl years later, sitting beneath an oak tree, writing in a leather-bound journal. The wind played with the pages, carrying whispers of dreams yet to come. Ilara stepped forward, reaching out, but the vision dissolved like mist at dawn. The keeper's voice returned, soft and steady. "The past does not bind you, Ilara. It only reminds you of who you have always been." She took a deep breath, feeling the weight of understanding settle in her chest. The forest had not called her here to remember the past, but to embrace the present, to carry forward the whispers of her own story. As the lanterns above them flickered and faded into the night, she turned to the keeper and smiled. "I am ready," she whispered. The forest sighed in response, its leaves rustling like a chorus of quiet voices welcoming her home. Segment 6. The Forest's Gift. The wind whispered gently through the branches, carrying the keeper's final words into the night. The forest does not take only gives. And now, Ilara, it offers you a choice. Hilara looked up, meeting the keeper's eyes. A warm glow surrounded them, the light of 100 lanterns flickering in harmony. The forest felt alive, waiting for her answer. She closed her eyes for a moment, feeling the weight of the journey settle into her bones. And with a steady breath, she spoke. I will stay. The air around her shimmered, and a deep sigh passed through the trees as if the forest itself exhaled in relief. The lanterns brightened, casting golden light across the pond. The whispers of the past, the voices carried by the wind, became one with her heartbeat. The keeper smiled, stepping back into the shadows. Then your story will live on here among the whispers. Hilara stood, feeling the warmth of the earth beneath her feet. The path ahead was unknown, but she was no longer afraid. She was home.